All right, everybody, welcome to Follow Up Boss Office Hours. Going to be focused today on email strategies and best practices through Follow Up Boss. My name is Lee Adkins. I'll be your host today, along with Ashley Lowe from Follow Up Boss. Ashley, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what you do at Follow Up Boss, and maybe a little about what you did before there, and then we'll dig right into to email stuff.
For sure. Sounds great. Well, thanks so much, Lee, first and foremost, for having me. Super excited. It's my first one. I honestly don't really remember what I did before Follow Up Boss because it's been so long that I've been with Follow Up Boss in the best way possible. But I've been with Follow Up Boss for a little bit over 5 years. So started on our free trial team, and I've been with our success team for the last few years. So
Awesome.
It's very possible that some of you that are joining us today, I'm already working with or that I have worked with in the past. So hi.
Awesome. That's great. I'm really looking forward to diving into this. And I think, you and I talked a little before we pressed go that some of this core functionality hasn't changed that much. But I think by the same token, there are some new tools. We're going to talk a little more around some of the integrations and how to use them. We're not going to get too deep into content because that's a lot more personalized to your business. So we'll be focused a bit more on the logistics of using email through Follow Up Boss. We're also going to cover a lot of material pretty quickly. We're happy to take questions. Obviously, you guys drop your questions in the Q&A. These sessions are always recorded. They're live streamed to the Follow Up Boss success community. So you can always find them there anytime from right now on. They also show up on YouTube pretty quickly, and they will generally come out in the Friday email. So you've got options to find the recording. Ashley, I'm going to run a quick poll just so we can see who's on.
Yes.
What kind of role you guys are in. If you guys could drop a quick note, just say, what role you're in. Ashley, why don't you go ahead and share your screen and let's dive right in.
Absolutely. And actually, just on the topic of throwing that poll up, just a quick side note is that when I'm taking us over here, I will be acting as an account owner. So for the agent users that maybe are joining us, with your team that uses Follow Up Boss, it might look a little bit different. So I'm acting as the account owner. Okay, awesome. And can you see my screen okay?
Yeah,
Lee?
that looks great.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, awesome. So yeah, so like Lee said, we're really gonna just dive into like the actual functions of the different ways that we can send emails, track emails. We're going to do a nice comparison of, one-to-one emails versus when to send a batch email, when to put someone onto an action plan to receive ongoing drip emails. So, every situation is just a little bit different. So let's go into those different scenarios, and we'll go through actual examples here as well. So
Awesome.
why don't I start with email templates, right? So when you start with Follow Up Boss, we preload in a good amount of templates for you to get started. The content has been tested across thousands of accounts, so it works extremely well from an engagement and response perspective. But, if you end up hiring someone or you have someone on the team that's like an amazing content writer, you guys can definitely create your own content. So this is just an area of the system that I want to focus on first, where you can view the existing templates in your accounts just by clicking on all email templates. And then from there we go. Sorry, there's a little bit of delay. And then you can also create your own email templates. And this goes for admins or agent users, regardless of your role with your team. And something that will help you stay organized, which is a fairly new feature that we have, which is amazing, is now we have folders. So, and we have folders for action plans as well, which I'll take us through. But that just, allows you to find them easier and just search for them in a more categorized way. So to create your own email templates, you can do this right here. You would have the opportunity to just compose the content from scratch yourself. You can also include hyperlinks. So that's a great way to, link over to your website or, any sort of like web link that allows that person to click on something. You can also upload images, videos from YouTube. We're going to go into BombBomb in more detail a little bit later, but we have a direct API integration with BombBomb. So you'll be able to click on that bomb icon and record a live video right then and there, or you can choose a video from your BombBomb library. You can add in emojis, and then you'll see this remove formatting, which I like to use that if I'm copying and pasting over from maybe a Word doc and the formatting is a little off. So I'll just highlight all my text and I'll click remove formatting, and that just cleans it up there a bit for you. Pro tip, it's a little small, but it's a big one, is we have merge fields. So merge fields allow you to personalize your messages in a unique way. So that could be, the greeting time, like good morning or good afternoon. So we have this greeting time merge field, which is cool. Contact first name, obviously being the most common. You can throw in all of your agent details. So tons of merge fields that you can choose from. We've significantly ramped these up.
Yeah, these are really great. We've been using the property preview a lot recently.
Yes.
Just yesterday, I was helping somebody build some with, the time of day is brilliant, because then we don't know when these are going to come in, but instead of saying good afternoon in the template, it says good time of day, yes, and then it'll say afternoon or morning. It's just a nice touch. It makes it feel less automated, in my opinion,
Exactly. It's not just hello, comma. Oh, and also with we're not focusing on the relationships feature necessarily today, but we do have a great merge field for contact and relationship first name. So if you do fill in a contact into that relationship section, then it will include that name as well, which is great. So those are merge fields. That's how you create a template. You can, as an agent user, well, actually as account owner, admin, or agent user, you can decide if you would like to share the template with your team as well. And then for your admin users, this is where you can add your templates into folders to help you stay organized.
Yeah, and one quick tip to add on the folders. For one, they act more like a tag, in the sense that you can have your email templates in multiple folders. So if you want to have all your buyer templates in one folder, great. If they're templates for new leads, you could have a new lead folder, so they can be in multiple folders. I do also still really recommend having still a good naming structure. Name it buyer nurture number 2, just so that when you're trying to find it or edit it or use it or whatever, it's really clear.
Yeah.
But organizationally, getting the names right and then using the folders, even if it's in multiple folders, emails for buyers agents, emails for listings, whatever those folders are. But it'll pay dividends and help you find the right template much, much more quickly.
Yes, for sure. And actually, I'll just highlight really quick how you can go to a contact and just quickly send them a template. So when you go to send email, of course, you have the opportunity to compose the email yourselves. But when you click on templates, that's where you can view your folders. And this is actually new. They're recently used, which is helpful. So that's just so much easier just to click that, because maybe you're in a groove of sending the same template, throughout that day. So that's where you can see your templates as well. And you can see your templates on the mobile app. I know that we're focusing on desktop today, but if you're sending email via mobile app, you have that option also.
And you have to go to email to find it. I've seen that's been a little confusing for people on mobile. You have to hit
I see.
that you're going to email, hit the little, I think it's blue email icon to see the templates.
True.
So,
True.
I learned that recently, so I want to share it along.
No, yeah, exactly. Mobile, much more condensed version of desktop. So it's a little bit different, but awesome. Okay, so those are email templates. First and foremost, how you create your content, right? So that's regardless if you wanting to send a batch email or line up your drip emails within your action plans. So now why don't we just kind of chat through the difference of putting someone onto an action plan versus sending them a batch email, because that's definitely a common question that our team receives throughout our team trainings, our kickoff calls, and all of the above. So think of a batch email as a great opportunity to, invite people to an open house or follow up with folks that, you just met at an open house, holiday emails. Maybe you want to invite like your top refers to a holiday event or a client appreciation event. So where, what you're going to want to do there is filter down your database of contacts, because I'm sure some of you have hundreds, if not thousands of people in your database. So it might be a little bit tricky for you to, well, how do I find those people? You might be able to get into one of your smart lists, but using filters is really what you're looking for. And that's the most helpful in my opinion. So filtering down by a stage or a tag that they have, or maybe you want to filter them down by like a zip code or a city based on like, website activity or properties inquiries that they've done in the past, because you want to reach out to them with a new listing. Or so tags are just, that's probably the most commonly used filter. So to filter down, you can do that based on your people screen right here and just clicking on these column headers, or you can click filters to the far right and then click add a filter. And then you've got the drop down of all of the options. So there's your tags, there's your stage. You could do it by source, you could do it by created date. Last communication is also a great one, like people that you haven't spoken to in X amount of days or months or years. So this is how you can use filters. So let's just use maybe our hot prospects lead, because I know that we've got these people here. And this, maybe this is a great opportunity because you've had some time open up on the weekend and you want to reach out to your hot prospects and say, hey, so-and-so, I just had some time open up on the weekend. Have you seen any homes, that you want to see? And just, give me a call or a text. But it's a great way to, rather than texting them or calling them individually, which is also great, but just hitting them with that batch email, and it takes just a few minutes. So once you've got your list, you would then just highlight everyone at the same time. So you see how it snagged all of them. And then you would click batch email. And so before I go down to like the body of the email, I just want to kind of highlight a couple of things here, which are sometimes easily overlooked, but really, really important and really great features, is that you have a box that says include all email addresses. So that is going to be helpful if that primary contact has a secondary email, or you do have someone filled into the relationships. So it's going to include all emails, just like it says on that profile. If you do not select that, it's just simply that primary email. And then the sent from, this is also great, especially for the account owner and for our admin users, is that the email can come from whomever you're logged in as, or you can have it come from the assigned agent. So it's going to personalize with the agent's signature, their email address, and then if the person responds, then it goes back to that assigned agent, of course. So very similar to sending one-to-one emails, the same layout here, right? I can use my hyperlinks, I can use videos, I can just type out the email myself, or you have your templates. So you click use the template, and it just preloads it in nice and quick for you. Then you'll preview it. Just make sure everything looks good. If you need to go back and edit, you absolutely can. And then down below, you can send the email right away, or you can schedule it for a future date and time. So I know that last week, a lot of my teams were kind of, gearing up their like Thanksgiving emails, and they did it before Thanksgiving, but they just scheduled it to go out at the time that they wanted it to. So that's really great that we can schedule.
Yeah, scheduling is a handy feature. And you can also, just to mention real quick, you can also do that in a one-off email as well. That would be an option if you were just sending a template or a typed email. I think it's brilliant for prospecting. Write all your emails in the morning, have them go out over the course of the day potentially, but you don't have to send them all first thing in the morning or whatnot, but you can schedule them all first thing.
Awesome. Anything else, Lee, that we should add around batch emailing? Well, I'll take us into the reporting as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think just the reporting, and then obviously the sending limitations, or the improved sending limitations.
Yes. So our improved daily limit send is for those that might have been, with Follow Up Boss for a while. If you had an @Gmail account connected, your daily send limit used to be 300. If you were with G Suite or Office 365, the daily send limit used to be 1,000. Now it is 10,000 for all. So regardless of your connected email, which is just amazing. Now, for teams that want to go higher than that. Oh, and that's also per user. It's not for team total. It's per user. But if you would like to exceed that 10,000 daily limit, we have a great integration with SendGrid. And whatever subscription you sign up with SendGrid, you can decide on like what your daily send is.
And I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, Ashley, that is 10,000 per day per user. Is that
Correct.
still correct? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So yeah, and if you need more than that, and actually what you're looking for, I want to clarify the SendGrid thing super quick, and then we have another really good question I want to tackle. The SendGrid thing, what you're looking for is what is called inside of SendGrid, the API. It's just the API is the level of account you need to get. I think it's still about $14 a month. It takes you up to, it's not technically unlimited, but it's something like 60,000. There you go. 40,000, I guess a month. So it's, and that, I believe that kicks in, we have to check with support on this. I believe that kicks in after the 10,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that's it.
So that's a pretty substantial, but again, if you're not going to send more than 10,000 per user per day, then you're good without SendGrid. But if you need to add SendGrid, it's called their API product. They have a newsletter product, but this is specifically the API product. That's the lesser expensive. It's right there using SendGrid API integration. So cool. And then Rob has a great question in the Q&A about centering the graphic inside the template or the single send.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. And of course, you can use a system like me. I use like postimage.org to like resize my images and stuff like that. So if you already have your size down, then you're good to go. Let me go back to, this will be regardless of batch, one-to-one, or email templates.
Right.
But so if you click insert image, then just like your downloads or your documents will upload, and you'll just click that image. So if you want it to be at the top, then you leave it at the top. If you want some text there and you want it to drop down a little bit, yeah. And we'll be kind of transitioning into the topic of why maybe you'd want to use a third party like a Mailchimp account if you are doing like really image heavy stuff and BombBomb. But yeah, we'll get to that for sure.
We'll dive into that in a moment. So, but you can paste formatting, I find, generally speaking, to your point. So if you made it in a Google Doc or something to that effect and use some of the heavier editing, in theory, you could paste it in. A lot of that format does remain. But I totally agree, Ashley. I think using a more HTML based program like a MailChimp, if you really are trying to, have columns and get fancy, that's a little more where that's at.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, let's just quickly touch on the batch email reporting because, you send out that email, you want to see who opened it, you want to see who clicked on the link, maybe emails that bounced and also unsubscribes. So to check that out, you would head over to your reporting tab, and then we have a dedicated area here for those batch emails. So again, this is just like one of our demo accounts, but in theory, it's going to show you the subject of that email. It's going to show you the number of recipients, the number of sends, the open percentage, so the data there, the percentage of clicks, the percentage of unsubscribes, and then bounces. It will all be clickable data, so you'll be able to click on those opens. It'll take you over to those list of contacts, and then maybe you want to give them a call directly or shoot them a text directly. When someone does unsubscribe, and also just side note, the information that shows at the very, very bottom of drip emails as well as batch emails will be your company details. So whatever your account owner has filled in here within your company settings is the address that shows at the bottom if you're ever curious as to what the people are seeing. But so if someone does opt out, we're going to do a couple of things. It's very obvious when they do. So we'll change their email on the left-hand side from blue to orange. We will add a tag unsubscribed into the tag section. And then beside the actual email, so let's just say that it was this one, a big orange bubble, unsubscribed. Now, if someone made an error and you need to resubscribe them, just reach out to our support team and we can take care of that for you.
Yeah, I'm glad you covered that, Ashley. That's super important. You do have to reach out to support to unsubscribe somebody. Removing the tag. I've seen it work where if you remove the email address and then add it back. Sometimes that's a workaround, but just that's an important note. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, just reach out to support, provide us with that email, and we'll do it for you. Okay, awesome. And then that's pretty much it for the reporting side of things. We will always keep the reporting stats. So if you've been with Follow Up Boss for 3 years, all of your history is here. None of this will disappear. And you can also filter it by user as well. So if the account owner,
and that's sender, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's great. And really, just to reemphasize, like being able to drill down into people that clicked and open your email for potential follow-up is really it's really, I highly recommend it. I think that's a great way to take your database down from 12,000 or 10,000 people to a couple of hundred or a couple of 20 that you should follow up with.
Absolutely. And I also just want to highlight actually a couple of filters from the people screen. So in addition to your reporting tab there and seeing that data, it's also really cool to dial it down on this page here. So I'm just going to change up the way that we see our columns quickly, just because we don't need to see all of these right now. I just want to focus on the email activity side of things. So I'm just going to minimize some of this by clicking our columns box. And the stuff that I want to look at will be, so it's here. So I want last email, I want last sent batch email, I want last sent action plan email, last sent marketing campaign. That's going to be like a BombBomb email or a Mailchimp email. And then last email activity is the one that's really great around opens and clicks. So let me just minimize some of these. All right, perfect. So now I can filter this down. So I could go like last sent batch email, new to old, or, is not empty, was less than, was more than. I can filter down by last sent action plan email. So it's a great way to see who's actually running on an action plan and receiving those drip emails. Last sent marketing, and then last email activity. That will show you, I don't know if we have anything in the, well, yeah, okay, perfect. So an open or a click. So that's really going to highlight those activities. And that's going to be regardless of a drip email, batch email, or a one-to-one. That will, I know that a lot of teams like to have the last email activity as a smart list as well, like maybe recent activity from the last 72 hours or the last day, and you can just look at the people that have just opened or clicked a link. Yeah. Anything that you wanted to add there, Lee?
No, that's a great one. I think if I recall, I think that was similar to the video Eric Bramblett posted a day or two ago in the success group of how powerful that column is, because it's just, these are people that have engaged with email. So
yes,
sorting it. And then to your point, this doesn't have as much data in it, but can you click on it one more time where you could potentially set it to say last email activity was say less than 7 days or so again, if you have a bigger database, or if you send out 10,000 emails and you're really just trying to get the most recent, you can drill down to, hey, people that open this week or people that open today or however now you can get down to minutes and hours. Pretty amazing. So again, depending on your database or your send side, you can really dial in, how frequently you want to lay eyes on these.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, great. So that's, should we head into maybe like third parties, or let's chat through action
I
plan
think so, because I think we covered, I want to cover one super fast thing. Just, we kind of didn't say it exactly, but a lot of you probably know it. An action plan is essentially just a series of these email templates set to go out. But we did want to talk just a split second on the difference between sending a one-off email template, sending a series of scheduled email templates as an action plan, versus then a batch email, versus then more of a third-party MailChimp, type of thing. And I think action plans, and then just the ability to also use folders for action plans, was the only thing to cover maybe really quick before we go there.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so, like, to your point, there's like 3 types of the email marketing, and you'll get different results from each type. So, there's some great best practices around like when to put people onto a drip campaign versus when to send like a hyper targeted batch email. And we also, I think that Bridget's in here as well, so she can also link us over to some really great resources that dive into that a little bit more. But yeah, let's go through action plans, and because there's different scenarios of an action plan as well. It could be for your brand new website leads that are coming through. It could be something that you want to manually activate yourself. It could also be set up via an automation based on you maybe changing their stage to something. So we could really get into the the weeds here,
Yeah.
but we'll kind of just give everyone a nice overview. But let's just start on lead flow, because so lead flow is the area of your account where you see the different online sources and your lead providers that are flowing in. So think of that as like Facebook ads, Zillow, Realtor.com, your website, that sort of thing. So if you want an action plan to kick in immediately as soon as a lead comes through, this is where to do it, which your account owner and your admins can set this up for you. So an action plan can be set up right here to the far right. So you just specify which plan needs to be, kind of connected to that lead source. The great thing about the lead flow action plan is that it can also include that initial text message. It's the only text message that Follow Up Boss can automate, is that first one if it's a brand new lead coming through an online source, as we call it. So, and there's also something to be mindful of with that initial text message, is that we have quiet hours, which are great to, just follow compliance. So if the lead is coming in after 9 p.m., earlier than 8 a.m., the text message will be queued and sent at 8 a.m. the following morning. Now, if you connect with that lead, outside of those hours, or rather inside of those hours, you can cancel the queued text if you need to. But I just want to make a comment about that, because it's like, well, what if someone does an inquiry at 3:30 in the morning? We don't want to text them and it doesn't look personal, but we have those quiet hours to help with that. So, and you can also delay that initial text message as well. So, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and then definitely take advantage of those merge fields. So this is the text message that's part of the action plan. And then down below, we have our ongoing steps, which would be either a task that you want to get triggered for a specific time. It could be an automated email, which these are. It could be that you want to automatically update the stage. It could be that you want to add a note for someone. So we've actually added quite a few new actions in the last few months, like adding collaborators, removing tags, or adding tags. So these are all the action options that we have. And you can mix and match, which is great. So you might have an action plan that is really just focused on drip emails. You might have a totally different action plan, more task oriented. You might have another one that's a mix. So
yeah, and something we talked about a little bit, Ashley, too, before we went live, is that the idea that, generally speaking, you probably need all these things. So ultimately having this overall strategy of, okay, we've got this happens on a new lead when they come in. This happens as part of the follow-up, or when people are hot, we send them, this email template, or when they're back on our website, we send this template, whether it's manual or automation. Like we're not going to go too deep into that on this session, but just the idea that you need, those things. And then you need some sort of, in my opinion, newsletter or blast strategy. I see a lot more people doing it weekly and having great success with sending a weekly batch or newsletter style email. So let's go ahead and push into the third party
Yeah,
pieces, I think. And with
absolutely.
and I'll tackle a little of that right up front. MailChimp and BombBomb are still quite different in what they do. The MailChimp integration is a true API integration. It pulls all of the data, literally just about every data point from Follow Up Boss into MailChimp. So you can go into MailChimp. Now you define your audience or audience segments in MailChimp. So all the data flows through. The question everybody always asks is, can I only sync some of my people? Because MailChimp charges you by the person. And unfortunately, the answer is no. It needs to be a full sync to have all of the data in there correctly. So if you're uploading or using Zapier, it's not the true integration. The other great thing about the true integration is it pushes back into Follow Up Boss that clicks and opens and unsubscribes from MailChimp. So you're still able to use, for example, that last email activity column, but it's in MailChimp. And again, we're not going to go too deep into this, but I wanted to just overview it, where you then define the segment. For example, our company email list, we power by a tag. So our segment is everyone that has this tag gets this email. We have some people that will send out to everybody in the database except for a certain stage. So I have a stage called like do not market to or do not contact. So you define that in MailChimp. You would say send to all people, assigned to agent Y, who, and you can get pretty deep. You can say who have been in the database for 6 months that have never, I don't know, they're still in stage lead or whatever you want it to be. So it's pretty powerful, but again, it's an additional tool and an additional expense, probably anywhere from, it's free up to 2,000, I think still, 2,000 users contacts. Beyond that, it starts to get to like the $30 a month and up, and it goes up pretty fast. So be mindful of that.
Yeah, no, the MailChimp integration is great. And also just, I think that Lee had mentioned this, but you'll be still operating out of MailChimp directly. So completely separate from Follow Up Boss in terms of, the platform that you're sending the emails from. It's just that Follow Up Boss is able to track the data with opens and clicks and show you the email history on the contact timeline. So I know that a common question when my teams are setting up this integration, it's like, well, we don't see those templates in Follow Up Boss. Like, where are they? But it's like, no, you still go through the MailChimp backend, but then we can track it, which is awesome. And actually, something that I've noticed as well recently is that we're going to actually pull in the history. So as soon as you do integrate MailChimp, like I'm working with this new team where they just integrated MailChimp last week, but we're actually pulling the emails that they sent to those people back in like October and September. So it's kind of cool how we can pull that onto the timeline.
That's great. That's really cool. And similar to that, while you were saying that, I was thinking about, a lot of people or some people do, and others probably want to potentially use another service or use a VA or somebody to create this email. And so then the other great news is then they only have to go in MailChimp. They don't have to worry about who's it going to or whatever. They're simply updating the design or the content, not even the design. They just can pop in content to those different pieces. And then, again, having a strategy around what your links are, because then if you have Follow Up Boss Pixel installed, which again, I don't want to get too crazy. If you're driving people back to your website and you have Pixel installed, now you're going to have website activity additionally in your Follow Up Boss, as well as the fact that they clicked something to go to that. So if you have a listing of the month or something, link it to your website so you can get people back on your website and keep, generating more data. So
yeah.
Is there anything else on MailChimp? I mean, I'm sure we could probably spend 3 hours on MailChimp specifically, but I'm tempted to jump to BombBomb.
Yeah, no, I mean, you had mentioned their segments. So just kind of comparing like how we, narrow down contacts and Follow Up Boss. We call them filters, but MailChimp calls them segments, and it's essentially the same thing. It's like you said, Lee, for your team, you break it down by a tag. So you could do it by stage, you could do it by assigned agent, you could do it by date created. So yeah, you get pretty detailed with who you want to email.
Great.
Awesome.
So BombBomb. Tell us about BombBomb. What does it do?
Sure. Yeah, so BombBomb is another API integration. As the account owner and the admin, if you have the BombBomb account, get that connected in your account, and then this is really great that you can share the key with all team members. So if your agents don't have their own independent BombBomb account, that's totally fine. You can give them access to still use this feature inside of Follow Up Boss. Now, if your agents do have their own independent BombBomb account, they're more than welcome to, add in their API key as well. All users see this integrations page and they can click on BombBomb and get that API key added in. So once you've got this set up, this is going to translate over to a direct one-to-one email that you're sending someone when you're creating an email template, as well as when you're sending a batch email. So let's just use a one-to-one. So I'm going to email Bonnie. So I would click on insert BombBomb video. And then I have two options. My camera's probably going to turn on here. I can record a video right now, or I can choose a video from my BombBomb library. So there's Lee's test email. But if you have a series of videos already preloaded in, you can choose that. And you can also do create an animated thumbnail as well, which is cool. So once you've got the video inside of that, which let me actually
you can insert that one that I made if you want. It's just a test.
So there you go. So that's it. And that's it. If people click on it, then it's just going to open up another quick tab for them and play that video, and we'll track the opens and the clicks as well. So we actually have someone that's new to our success team that was previously with BombBomb. We actually have a couple of people that have moved over from BombBomb. So if you ever want some BombBomb, advice there, just reach out to them and they'll be happy to help. But it's a great integration, and we all know that videos see such a high open rate and engagement. So very, very personal, and it might be a little bit hesitant to do your first video, but it's just, it's an incredible marketing tool.
Yeah, I really recommend it too. I think, there's two prime, you mentioned these, I'll just kind of reiterate, I think, because it's really important. The two primary uses would be shooting a one-to-one on the spot. Hey, Bonnie, thanks for checking out our website. Feel free to reply back if I can answer any questions or whatever that is. The other use case, like Ashley mentioned, I guess there's kind of a secondary. You can also pre-record them, and you can also save them in a template. So the same way you would send it as a one-off, you could save it as a template. So if you wanted an automated email as part of an action plan to go out, it could also have a BombBomb in it. And it could be just a more generic, hey, thanks for reaching out. Someone on the team will get back with you, whatever that is. So if you're hesitant or worried in the moment of like, what am I going to say on a one-to-one? I love that real estate agents suddenly get shy when it comes to this. But just the idea that if you're not comfortable with that, or you're worried you're not going to do it because you're on the move or on the go, a great way to execute the strategy is just sit down in one shot, or maybe like change your shirt once or twice so you're not wearing the same thing in every video. But just give a quick like, hey, thanks for reaching out. Someone will be in touch, something somewhat generic and evergreen. And then you've always got it. And it converts so much better than a generic, hello, thank you for looking at our website. It's just so much more personable and worth doing. And you said this, Ashley, but I want to just also re-emphasize that you can get a single BombBomb account and connect it, and then everyone on your team can use it. So I think it's about a $30 or maybe a $40 a month single account. But as long as you check that box in the integration, anyone can use videos that you have made and saved, or anyone can shoot a live, one-to-one video and send it through the system. So not everyone has to have their own account. And like you said, if someone does, they can connect their own account individually, but everybody else on the team would be able to use, the team account.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're trying to focus on you you meaning our participants today, to really do as much as you can directly in Follow Up Boss. But with that being said, if you're using another third party that maybe you want to look into integrating, check to see if they're on Zapier, right? It's possible, and you can, yeah, you can connect that way as well. It's not going to be a in-depth API integration, but we might be able to still track a few things. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's really great. That's all good stuff. And I think, if you guys have questions, throw them in the Q&A. We're happy to tackle, some specific questions. I think one quick thing I forgot to mention that's pretty important. In MailChimp currently, I know it's on the radar, but in MailChimp currently, relationships do not pull through into API. So if you are using relationships heavily, just be mindful that at this moment in time, the relationship, or even I think a secondary email, does not sync to MailChimp. So just an important thing to mention. I don't want to give a time frame on that, but I've mentioned it a few times. I know Caroline's well aware that that's a thing that we're looking for, but I wanted to mention that importantly. One other thing too is that you can't save an attachment in an email template. You can send an attachment like here as a one-off, but the workaround for that is just using some sort of cloud-based link. So whether it's Drive or Dropbox or Box or whatever service you use, the workaround for that. But the good news about that is then you get the data on a click. If it's an attachment, you're not going to know if they saw the attachment or not. If you make it a link, it'll generate the data that somebody clicked on that link with that email. So.
Yeah, and we actually have a great help doc on that as well. Bridget, I know that you're monitoring the Q&A, and I forget the actual name of that one, but if you just go to our help center and you just search for, I think like not batch email, like non-attachments or something, I'll find it and I can send it.
Yeah, we'll find it.
It's a great rundown. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we can add it to the Facebook chat as well. So, cool. I think, I know that's a lot to cover, but again, to your point, actually, the three kind of main things, the one-off email, the the batch.
Right. One-off emails, batch emailing, and then automated emails, part of an action plan. So,
right.
I know that you've already done such amazing office hours on automations. So that's another great example of how to, activate an action plan with specific content based on, someone's stage being changed or tag being added. So
yeah. And I think going into new year, I think, I probably say this on a lot of office hours, but I also believe it really, truly, like, to sit down and spend a little time working on these. Like, I know people, you're selling houses, people are busy, but to sit down and shoot some BombBomb videos or work on some email templates, things that you say all the time to people. And I think people also think a lot about new leads and like lead conversion, but it's equally important, I think, to have information to send to people under contract or to people that have closed. For example, like when you find yourself explaining what a home inspection is over and over, make an email template, or if you really want extra credit, write a blog post on your site and then have an email template that drives people back to your site. But my point is that spending some time, maybe over the holiday, especially if things are slow, getting this right. Like, hey, here's my buyer email templates. Here's my under contract email templates. It really will pay dividends, and it will save you thousands of hours and clicks if you've got those things in place. And then organizing them into folders is even better. So then you can ultimately, whether it's a transaction coordinator or if you do it yourself, you can say, hey, here's our new inspection email. Here's our what is an appraisal email. Here is our, what to bring to closing email. I mean, I think a lot of us get really focused on lead conversion and don't always realize how much we can use this tool to actually service clients in a way that allows us to do it consistently, or even more if you have a team, allows a team member to provide a consistent experience, even if they're not, as seasoned of an agent. So, oh yeah, that's a great one. You want to pull up that,
Oh yeah, the
like a
post-closing.
post-closing type of plan?
Yeah. And we can automate that through an automation as well. So as soon as you change their stage to close, then this can kick in. So yeah, task
Yeah.
focused.
And that's a
So-
great one. And that's a great pro tip, because it can help you remind people to change the stage. If you change the stage, then stuff will happen for you. We use that a lot of times as the carrot to remind people to change the stage.
Yes, yes. And I just want to highlight as well that we do have a sharing library for templates or action plans, well, both actually. So you can click browse action plan library. There are, I swear to God, every time I come in here, it's jumped up by like 200. So there are so many plans in here that
That's great.
Other teams have created, and you can check those out. And if you like what you see, just copy it into your accounts.
Yeah. And be sure to check those. I think we mentioned this on a recent session. Be sure to check them and edit them, because some of them will have other people's websites, or, hey, thanks for, calling our team.
Yeah.
But they really are great. And once you pull them into your account, you can edit it to be your website and your brand, and all those things. But no, I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a great way to jumpstart. Or if you're somebody that's good at editing, but maybe not staring at a blank piece of paper, but editing somebody else's template, that's a great way to do it. So
yeah.
Cool. Well, Ashley, thank you so much. This was awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for everyone for joining as well.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate it. Again, we'll get the recording out to you guys as well. It'll come out in tomorrow's email, and hope to see you on a future office hours. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, Lee. Bye, Bridget. Bye, everyone.